Hello?
How? Greetings. Have you heard? It's so terrible. Sumaq was killed by his own servant.
How do you know Sumaq?
Everyone knows Sumaq. He was my mentor and business partner. He made my business possible. Trade in the upper district without the right contacts, it's impossible. Sumaq did all that for me and more.
I'll find out what happened to him.
Thank you, Ahau. Apologies, Ahau, but you may not enter. The crowd is violent. If I move, they may rush in.
Perhaps I can find a way to distract them.
A wise strategy, Ahau.
Have you not been informed of the death of Sumaq?
Indeed, Ahau. He was a great man.
He was. Now sound the call of mourning to usher him to the afterlife.
Yes, Ahau. I will play.
It is calm now. Come in.
How did it happen?
When we arrived, Shoko, the mistress of the house, was arguing with Taruka, her servant. Sumaq lay dead between them. Taruka was covered in blood.
Did Shoko witness the murder?
No. She came home from the market to find Taruka standing over Sumaq.
Has Taruka confessed?
No, he pleads innocence. But you're here now, Ahau. Few can lie under the scrutiny of the gods. When he confesses, speak with the investigator. He's up near the body.
Oh, Ahau, please show mercy. I swear I didn't kill my master.
Be calm, Taruka. Tell me what happened.
I came in from working the fields. I heard a loud noise, like a gate slamming shut. I ran and found Sumaq covered in blood. He'd been stabbed. I tried to stop the bleeding, but he was already gone.
That's why your hands are bloody.
Ahau, please believe me.
I'll return if I have any more questions.
Greetings, Ahau.
What do you have?
Sumaq was stabbed in the neck many times with something pointy and very sharp.
Like an arrow or a knife?
Whatever it was, it's gone now. We've searched the entire room.
Then the murderer took the weapon with them. May I have a look at the body?
Of course. May the gods grant you the wisdom to see what I can.
For a stab wound, there's not much blood. Looks like the body was moved. Hello? Shoko?
Yes, Ahau.
I know this is difficult, but I need you to tell me what happened.
I was at the market with... Oh, poor Sumaq.
Take your time. Start from the beginning. You're at the market?
Yes, with Agna. I was going to make bokchuk. It was my husband's favorite.
Agna?
One of my servants.
What happened when you came home?
I found Taruka in the kitchen, standing over Sumaq. His hands covered in my husband's blood. I yelled and the guards arrived.
Was he holding a weapon?
No.
Did you hear a loud slam as you arrived?
No, of course not.
What about Akna?
What about her? She was with me. She accompanied me to the market and back.
Where is she now?
Recovering in her room. She's had quite a shock.
I'll go talk to her.
But... yes, of course. As you wish, Ahau.
There's something there.
This will never be clean. I must. I promised I would.
Hello, Akna.
Oh, Ahau. Forgive me. I thought you were the mistress.
I was hoping to ask you a few questions.
I don't know anything. I never know anything.
Does this gate open?
The gate? No. It's broken. It has been broken for a long time.
Akna. I'll find another way around.
Yes, Ahau. How can I help?
You said earlier you'd been working in the fields. Did you return here with your tools?
No. Since the rebels attacked, the cult of Kukulkan has seized our farming tools. We must surrender them when leaving the fields.
When Shoko returned, was Akna with her?
No, it was only Shoko. Akna was not there. Why?
Thank you, Taruka.
Taruka is guilty, Ahau. I'm sure of it.
There's something there. There are bloody tracks on the floor.
It was only a matter.
Ahau. Hello. Is it true? Sumaq was murdered?
Yes, I'm looking for Akna. I have questions for her.
The servant girl? I wouldn't waste any time on her. She doesn't know anything. She can't even see what's going on right in front of her eyes every day.
What do you mean?
I apologize, Ahau. It's not my place to speak.
If you know something, tell me.
Let's just say Shoko and Sumaq didn't have the most passionate of marriages. Shoko always had eyes for Ikal.
Ikal? Sumaq's business partner. So they were friends.
They're much more than friends, I think.
Thank you for the information.
The pleasure is mine, Ahau.
The ground was disturbed here, recently. I don't have enough space for that. This must be the knife used in the murder.
Put it back. You must. The mistress said if anyone saw it, she would get in trouble.
Why would she get in trouble?
Please, Ahau, don't make me. If anything happened to the mistress...
You need to tell me everything.
The mistress didn't come to the market with me. When I got back to my room, the gate was broken and there was blood everywhere. As the mistress called for the guards, she gave me the knife to hide. I'm so sorry.
Thank you for your honesty, Akna.
Please. Please forgive me, Ahau. Please.
Shoko will be brought to justice. An antique knife, possibly Aztec in origin. There's fresh blood on this blade, but it seems as though someone tried to wipe it clean. The edge hasn't been sharpened in years.
Tragedy. I must see Shoko.
Please, I just want this terrible day to be over and justice done.
Yes, how?
Did anyone see Shoko at the market at the time when Sumaq was killed?
She was with Akna, her servant. Why?
Taruka says he heard a gate slam when he arrived. That's what drew him to discover the body. Soon after, Shoko arrived.
That's correct.
So where's the murder weapon?
We searched everywhere. It's not in the house.
We're missing something. I'll speak with Akna, see what she knows.
As you wish, Ahau.
Pakal, Taruka is innocent. Sumaq was killed by his wife Shoko. I found the knife she used.
Arrest her!
No!
Shoko wasn't at the market. She waited until Taruka and Akna were away, then she stabbed Sumaq in the neck several times.
That's a lie!
Sumaq fell in the passage back there. Shoko moved his body where Taruka would easily find him.
You're lying!
Then she slammed the inner gate shut to attract Taruka's attention. She gave Akna the knife and told her to hide it. Then she confronted Taruka and blamed him for the murder.
Silence! You will both be dealt with. Please, accept this as a token of our gratitude.
Taruka, you're free to go.
Thank you, Ahau. Sometimes there is justice.
Sometimes.
Shoko, the murderer. I can't believe it. Poor Sumaq. I should have done something. Now Unuratu is captured. And the other rebels, they'll make an example of them. God, what a mess.
I've been staring at this thing all day. I don't understand what it's trying to say.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to read this stupid mural. I will. Show respect. I'm sorry, Ahau. I mean no disrespect to Kukulkan. I'm studying the murals to become a serpent guard, like my father.
I'm sure he's very proud of you.
But what if I can't understand the lessons they're teaching? Then what?
Maybe I can help. Do you think your father would mind that?
Would he, Mayu?
No, child. I'm sure your father would be pleased to learn you've had the Ahau's help.
Great. I've got part of this first one here. It's water. Well, something about water anyway. I think. And the others I haven't looked at yet.
How about I go and study all the murals and then come back to you and we can discuss them?
I'll be here.
I'm Lara, by the way.
I will.
Bash?
When what is above him is now below, the fed become the food that sow. The ground, the earth, Aman, the corn god. Glide within him like a bird, but do not breathe. Water? So him must be Chuck, the god of rain. He erases the dark and brings the day that follows. That's the sun. Kinichahau is the sun god. The gods in the murals are all giving life and taking it away. A balanced interaction. The murals were teaching about the duality of life and death. Heavy stuff for a child. Mayu, where's the wheel? Is everything all right?
I don't know. Her father came and collected her. He said he wanted to reward her for her studies and let her participate in a ritual.
What ritual?
The ritual of awakening. Ahau. That involves the sacrifice of a child.
Do you think Awil's father would harm her?
I've known him for years. Today when he came, he looked right through me. His eyes were black, empty.
Where did he take her?
To the abandoned village. Please, hurry.
They're waiting for you. This way.
Let's get on with it.
Ahau, I present to you my own blood, my daughter, Awil. Her mind and spirit are strong, stronger than any I've ever seen. I am so proud of my Awil. She will make a fine sacrifice. Here, the nectar of awakening. Hear me, Kinichahau, face of the sun. I offer you Awil, the chosen one. She will drink from the nectar of awakening, and her heart will be taken from her chest and cast onto the fire. The embers of my own flesh and blood, given to you so that you may not to extinguish the sun.
Awil, it's Lara. I want you to run back to Mayu when I say, okay? Awil, run! Why do I get the feeling this isn't over?
The traitor is here. Somewhere.
Check the buildings. They could be anywhere.
Ulaktsokubin takoslahuntiku. Manachkun sigbaesh, janinkashtikon, hachempe lujoke sikupole, danu luke salti. Kimeseti halon que sabatela. Veora, se na chaesh. Tokukini, janenesh tselikti. Shimbal nakech. Ubabak beyo, elunchaite chausilin kukulkash. Antemeshi. Yopik. Biltan anta. Tanawoke sikaba. Sabah walkila, beyo que lucha y consigue kukulkan. Ubeita limbo que si kimbay. Esto badge.
Awil, are you hurt?
I'm fine. I ran just like you said.
Clever girl.
Why did you stop the ritual?
Awil, you were going to be killed.
But that's how it is. I was chosen. My sacrifice would keep Kinicha Hao from taking the sun away. Father said he dreamed me. Dreamed that I was special.
Awil, dreams can be interpreted in different ways. What if you were meant to stay here, on Earth, and use your special power to become the greatest serpent guard there ever was?
Do you really think so?
I do, yes.
I can't wait to tell Father.
Awil, your father is...
Going to be away for a while. So Awil will stay with me, so she can continue her studies.
Of course.
I better get started now. There's still so much to learn. Thank you, Ahau.
Yes, thank you, Ahau. I will make sure Awil is cared for. Please accept this bow as a thank you. It belonged to my mother. She was an eagle archer. May it serve you well.
Thank you, Mayu.
I better get started now. There's still so much to learn. Thank you, Ahau.
people of the Andes have been perfecting the art of weaving for thousands of years. This Chuspas is a wonderful example, woven of llama or alpaca hair and traditionally used to carry cocoa leaves. It clearly highlights the weaver's skill. Beautiful.
Jok saliti, mukaan, wakunchan ke geloni, minatun talami.
This jade mask would have been placed on a noble's corpse during his funeral. The artisans were reputedly able to create an almost exact likeness of the wearer. This elaborate pipe is sculpted to resemble Xicuatl, an Aztec serpent spirit painted in green, blue, and yellow. Its sides are decorated with semi-precious stones. The inclusion of jade indicates at least a measure of Maya influence. The bowl still reeks of burnt roots and smoke. Not an entirely unpleasant aroma. It's difficult to make out. People settled between two rivers. They weren't alone. However, these outsiders don't appear dangerous.
Kachkabetabin.
Amaru returned for his brother's funeral, inconsolable during the burial and immovable after. The next day, however, he cut swiftly through the city. He unmasked the cult's leader, exposing them as outsiders. "It is time for the people of Paititi to take control of their city," he said, holding a decapitated head in one hand and the bloody knife in the other. "No longer will we bow to outsiders." As it was foretold, heralded by the column of flame burning through the night, and the destruction of our temples, and the warnings of the weeping woman and the two-headed man, the strange warriors astride great deer arrived with the rising sun. They murdered the weak leaders and claimed the land and the people as their own.
Bila Witch.
Sumaq cash. Untitled
The pilgrimage came to a fork of two rivers and decided to settle. They erected 2 pyramids and began their new lives as protectors of the box.
Was den Katschkabetze bei?
Bașten haci ta capuciul.
Ai! Ce-n juntul? Ce-anis ciupale!
The Aztec used these to burn incense so they could communicate with the gods. Still smells of copal. The peak of this mountain is hidden behind thick clouds. I can't be sure what these 2 smaller hills on either side of the mountain are supposed to represent. How can these shapes be Incan when they look like airplanes? Oh, I see, they're insects of some sort. Archaeology is a very delicate field of study. You have to put yourself in the mindset of people and cultures who died centuries before you were even born. Humans interpret strange phenomena based on what they already know. If the Inca had seen planes, they might have assumed they were some sort of bird. Given that, these shapes may not be insects after all. Some of them look more like fish. Patolli is said to be one of the oldest games in America, played by all walks of life. Players were known to gamble all of their worldly possessions over a single round, from blankets and precious stones to their homes and even their family's freedom. The god of art and games, Makwal is considered an active participant in the game, responsible with bestowing offerings upon the winner. So much on the line for a simple game. Some things never do change. The protectors failed, and are now doomed to recover what they lost. Impossible. I can't carry anymore.
Ultan! Uyintan! Uyintan!
Itzamna is the son of the Maya creator god, Hunabku. He was the god of education, responsible for inventing writing and books. This made him an essential figure in the development of Maya culture. He was also god of agriculture and created farming. He even presided over doctors, healing people with the help of his red-hot hand. Usually, Itzamna took on a reptilian aspect, but he was also known as Kinichahau, a fire macaw, who was the patron of the number 4 and controlled drought and disease. The Paititians made peace with each other and followed Yaskar Yahweh, recently acclaimed as emperor, to a site in the mountains to begin anew, certain they will not make the same mistakes as those before them. An Aztec-influenced mask, decorated with items native to the area around Paititi. Maya and Inca stood shoulder to shoulder against their brothers on one side, those who wished to retreat and start fresh, and those who wished to expand and conquer neighboring territories. Ill-suited to the local land, the Maya's agriculture techniques of slash and burn soon led to a food shortage. At the risk of starvation, they entered into treaties with local pre-Inca tribes, gaining new technologies and crops. The traders arrived, bringing new goods, and then the farmers, with new crops and techniques. Eventually, as more and more of the outsiders arrived in Paititi, they eventually took administrative control.
Oi, acting board.
Someone's taken this old walkie-talkie apart. Were they making an attempt at reverse engineering, I wonder? A heavy-breasted woman wearing serpents around her waist. This is Coatlicue, whose name literally means skirt of snakes. She's also called Tetioinen, the mother of the gods. She gave birth to the moon and the stars and had over 400 children, including the sun god Huitzilopochtli, who was also god of war. In addition to being a mother, She's seen as the devourer of all that lives. It's said that she was herself sacrificed to bring about this current age of creation.
Yane, matuchika hilbashku, yanik lechilamu.
After the long dry season, when the rains finally fell, the rats left their burrows looking for more food. They brought with them pests. Those afflicted bleed from their ears and nose and died in terrible pain and terrible numbers, leaving many once populous cities empty. This garishly decorated fire drill appears to be a part of the new fire ceremony, an Aztec celebration of the new year. It consists of 5 days of fasting, bloodletting, and sacrifice. The fire drill is meant to be placed upon the chest of the freshly sacrificed. It sparks, feeding a large bonfire that ignites the flames of every nearby temple. This one, however, doesn't appear to have been used, as the notches are clear of blood. This depicts the story of Viracocha, the father of all creation. He formed the heavens, the earth, the sun and stars, the moon, time itself, and all living beings, including the other gods. At first, Viracocha was considered to be the supreme god of the Inca, but with time that honor passed to his son, Inti, the god of the sun. Still, Viracocha retained his link to the sea. His name literally means fat or foam of the sea. Unuratu approached the throne through the crowd. She walked beside it, but did not sit. "Why do we continue to believe this lie?" she asked the crowd. "Kukulkan controls this city, and I will no longer wear a smile and pretend it is any different. I will not be his puppet, trotted out to wave and smile." The guards cut her off quickly and ushered her away. Then they advanced, with weapons drawn to disperse the crowds.
Jan Jabach making Shulu.
This describes something nearby. Canals bring water to the arid parts of the village, and they washed me away. This is great.
Choco guapo. This staff has a jury-rigged flintlock mechanism similar to those from European firearms. The cultist priests must have used this during their ceremonies to awe the crowds.
Awila. Tumaima. Watong tapikin.
Quality linguate, quality kultura, dia chiquitia. Aku mau cikot dia mata ni kata tim makan juga. Dia. Ni kata mata. Dia mati.
This describes something nearby. 7 golden birds perched here and there. One escaped to the trees with his treasure. Dropped from his talons. I'm waiting for you.
Pantalara.
Hetsekatukul. Woi, ma, pishi.
¡Pila witch! Quetzecatupul. Igual a que le di.
This figure must be the owl, the mythological beast stalking the outskirts of Paititi. Do not leave the city. Those who leave become cursed, forced to wander the jungle, and never find peace. This obsidian-tipped arrow was snapped in half. It looks similar to those used by Unuratu's rebels. If they went up against Trinity with these primitive weapons, they never had a chance. This could be interesting. I've left and come back, and no demons haunt me. Was I just lucky, or has the cult lied to us? What do they have to gain from keeping us here? Looks like gold. There's something on the other side. May Ollanta find the clays and metals of the afterlife suitable to her craft. Yaskaya were united the two sides, ending the war. However, their blood still boiled. In order to placate the soldiers, someone must be punished. Yahweh rounded up the merchants believed to be responsible for the conflict and sacrificed them. Shit! This won't be easy. Okay, one last leap. Hope this is worth the trouble.
Secatupul. ¡Y la witch! ¡Huye! ¡Huye! Secatupul. ¿Beiwa?
May mo paligtsin sabo.
29th of November, 1603. After dinner, Lopez left the city. I followed, worried he might not return. I found him standing by the riverbank, lips moving as though in prayer. Not wishing to disturb him, I waited. His communion with God must have lasted through the night, and I regret to admit I fell asleep, for the next thing I knew, Lopez stood smiling serenely over me, the morning sun behind him, creating a halo. He helped me to my feet and clasped me in a strong embrace. "Truilos, I know where to find the artifact," he whispered in my ear.
Matunjud sa putan.
Balik kong tuljud. Litik ko jarik lang.
Mesoamerican people used this stone as a tool for processing grain and seeds.
Oh, gosh!
Malo! Hatchkabe tu kuchul. Born to famine,
Raised in rebellion, orphaned but never alone, he rises as the sun.
Mama says it upsets the waterfall's waka if I play in the cave. She just thinks it's too dangerous, even though there's all kinds of neat stuff in there.
The Inca use a combination of freeze-drying and salt to preserve just about anything edible. Charqui and chunos are basically meat and potatoes. Delicious. November 1603. With a local man as a guide, Lopez, the soldiers, and I set out from the city before first light. Just as well, as a terrible flu began to spread through the population. Lopez is convinced his artifact does not lie in the city itself, but somewhere just outside. I asked if it was not somewhat hypocritical to enlist the help of those loathsome people. Do not loathe them, he said, any more than you would these molosses. They are all creations of the Lord our God, as are we. I told him I was stunned to hear him speak in this fashion, but he took my hands and we prayed. The energy of his faith ran from him to me, until I felt the chains of doubt fall from my heart. The new methods of agriculture introduced by the cult of Kukulkan have only succeeded in destroying more crops. First, the bee colonies collapsed. Then the cocoa crop failed. The earth is too damaged for anything but corn to grow, and the stalks are flimsy. We must take action, or Paititi will suffer a tremendous famine. This is a traditional footplow, still used in the Andes today, even outside Paititi. Sometimes the simple ways are still the best. This Spanish document relates one of the many stories of El Dorado, the Golden One. When the first Spanish exploration ships returned home with their holds full of gold, the news spread like wildfire, and the stories got more extravagant with each retelling. Rumors of the Golden City gave birth to countless expeditions to the New World. Oh my god. This is a penguin lawn ornament, painted and decorated and placed in a location of reverence. I shouldn't laugh, but it's so incongruous. The locals wouldn't be able to identify the animal it's intended to represent, and they certainly wouldn't be familiar with the material the statue is made from. There isn't any plastic in Paititi. I'd love to talk to whoever did this and learn why, what they think this penguin is. These ceremonial ceramic jars are used to store corn beer or chicha. The bottom of these urpu are usually pointed, to aid when pouring into smaller serving containers. This describes something nearby. The youngest of 4 turns his back on his brothers, unable to speak as I lie in his mouth. Gotcha! This describes something nearby. The waters below protect me from the waters above.
Pila witch!
Shanka Shikech!
Kanamaya Huyabi Tilesuki.
Huye, Shintan! Huye, huye!
This describes something nearby. A lone sentry stands guard over me and his harvest. Gotcha! We found their hidden city easily enough, the coordinates from Trinity being correct. The natives did not trust us, and we entered the city with spears at our necks. There was a tumult against the people. We later learned a cohort of Inca had arrived the month before. Lopez spun a tale of our desertion from the Spanish army, for our hearts could not fathom the destruction they had and would continue to cause, and we'd gladly exchange any or all of our goods for shelter, if only for a short while. Reluctantly, they allowed us to remain in the city, on the condition we leave our armor and weapons in a small hut outside of the city proper. The men hesitated, and finally we agreed that 2 of us would remain outside, guarding the gear. Had to put the last remaining mule down yesterday. Broke its leg. Shame. Terrible shame. But I think I found it. Came across an abandoned village that simply must be Z. If only father were still alive. I'm resting here for the night. Tomorrow I'll begin a thorough investigation of the site. The world will know a Forset discovered the lost city. Location found. Hidden. Terrain difficult to traverse. Seems safe from the stranger's intent on forcing us into slavery. Any squad venturing outside Khan must take special precautions in covering their tracks. We're close now, and the last thing we need is droves of tourists showing up trying to be the first to get the perfect selfies in the city. Okay, water looks deep enough. May Chuki have woven us each a tunic of the finest wool by the time we reach the afterlife. These are the king and queen of Mictlan, the principal underworld of Aztec mythology. Mictlantecuhtli was the most prominent of the gods associated with death. He was often depicted as a skeleton with eyeballs in his skull sockets, and his responsibilities included looking after the souls of the departed. His wife, Mictlantecuhtli, presided over festivals of the dead, which are precursors to the modern Dia de los Muertos traditions. Has been here recently. Here's what I've been looking for. follow the Napo to the Amazon. Nothing but jungle for weeks. Phillips got the fever and I had to drag the bastard through this forsaken jungle for the last few days. He kept me awake every night, screaming something about being covered in snakes. Just when we were about to succumb to exhaustion, we arrived at a small settlement built at the foot of an ancient temple. The locals fed us and nursed Phillips until his fever broke. After asking around, I found out there's another temple close by, twin to the first. Once Phillips regains his strength, we'll explore these temples. This journey will not have been for naught after all. This describes something nearby. I lie silent where arrows once flew, guarding a door which will no longer open. This is great. too young to be amber. It may be copal. It smells wonderful. Inti is the Incan sun god, created by the great god Viracocha. Incan rulers consider themselves direct descendants of Inti, as he is the patron of empire and military conquest. This polished piece of silver is lined with gold and inlaid with turquoise gems. It appears to be a decorative mirror of sorts. An ornate filigree depicting Ishel is carved onto its backside. This is the Aztec god Ipatotec, who presided over the cycle of life, death, and rebirth in all its forms, including agriculture, vegetation in general, revolutionary conflict, and skin diseases. He tore his own skin off to feed his people, and is usually depicted wearing a suit of human flesh. This self-flaying may account for how often he's shown wearing stripes of different colors, predominantly yellow but also tones of red and tan. After wearing the flesh of their captives for 20 days, devotees of Ipatotec would hold on to the skins for their medicinal properties. How is everything?
Welcome. The gods favor us both. Very good. Here you go. Come back soon.
Ketze katupul. Ude shintan! Mejor que esa maldita, ¿no?
I know it sounds silly.
I've got some stuff to trade if you're looking.
Niet zeker pupul.